And we'll begin from Abuja, where another demonstration is being anticipated as some discharged soldiers have taken to the streets in protest. The ex-servicemen, particularly those discharged in the first and second quarters of 2023, are demonstrating against what they describe as failed promises by the Military Pensions Board, the Ministry of Finance, the Nigerian Army Finance Department, and Defense Headquarters. We're now joined by our correspondent Joshua Marayu for fresh updates on the demonstration. Joshua, how long has the issue been on, and what more can you tell us about the demonstration by these ex-servicemen?
Good afternoon to you, Judith. As you can currently see, I am live at the National Assembly in the capital of Abuja. And behind me are some ex-servicemen who are currently protesting over unpaid entitlement. These men were discharged from service in the year 2023, the first quarter and the second quarter of 2023. But it is better we hear from the horse's mouth to get a grasp of the entire situation and how long has this been. I have a couple of them here. Some of them will be willing to speak with us. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Sergeant Shehu Ahmadu. Okay. Yeah.
So for how long has this been happening? And tell us, what is happening?
Our general, they refuse to pay us our SDA, short payment of SDA and gratuity, some parking allowance, nawis, belebolum, and 5 months salary. So they refuse to pay us. That's why we want to collect our right.
This gentleman is not the only person here. There's another young gentleman who wishes to speak on the current happening, and he's here. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Tell us your name, sir.
My name is Sergeant Ekunda Aliseme, retired.
For how long have you guys been on this protest?
Since on Sunday now, on the 1st of this month.
On the 1st of this month? Yes. What are you pressing for?
For our entitlement.
What entitlement specifically?
Gratuity, the security department, parking allowance, nawis, benevolent, 4 months salary. 4 months salary. We listed it to them for over 6 payments.
But before now, have you come to an interface with them? Have they said anything?
Yes, we are come together. But what they are showing us, there is a letter given to us that backs us all what we are demanding from them. Because the letter stated from defense that from the 1st of January 2024 to this last December 2024, that every retirees are entitled for all those benefits that we are asking. But when we tell them, so unfortunately, to my greatest surprise, for my years of service in the army, I've never seen where the army have a two-chart. We have Major General Air Force Major General Adebo Wale showing us a two-chart that one started from January, it lasts to June. Another one started from July to December. So those letters, that is the chart that is showing on. That chart is the one that we are kicking against. So they use the old rate of that chart to work for, prepare our benefit, which is wrong. When we have the letter is restored here, we can submit it to you people so that you people can see, view it, and show if we are not saying the right thing, they will know.
So what you are trying to say is that you left service before some persons, and that those persons are being paid before you?
Yes.
Well, you heard from the gentleman, Judith. This is one of the saddest situations happening currently in the country, and they are demanding that their payment and entitlement be made as soon as possible. Judith.
Has any member of the defense headquarters or the military or any of the other agencies been able to meet them at the demonstration site there?
Well, these individuals have been on this demonstration since on Sunday, and if they have met anybody per se, I think they would have, the entire demonstration would have died down. But I can tell you that there still hasn't been some sort of interface between the military authorities and these individuals who are still pressing on their demands. Of course, we'll be watching the entire situation as it unfolds, because this is a continuous development.
Thank you, Joshua Marai, there, our correspondent, just live there from Abuja, the capital. Joshua, again, many thanks. We appreciate you for coming on. The switch gears now. But still on security, the Nigerian Air Force has successfully killed over 15 terrorists in a precision airstrike on a hideout in the Sambisa Forest area of Borno State. In a statement issued on Thursday by its spokesperson, Air Commodore Ehime Ejodame, the operation conducted on September 3rd, 2025, targeted a terrorist enclave west of Zua, identified through intelligence and surveillance. According to Ejodoma, the airstrike destroyed key structures and significantly weakened the insurgents' operational capacity or capabilities. Now, this action was part of Operation Hadin Kai, and the military emphasized its commitment to protecting national security through vigilant and professional air power. Still on security, but this time to Kogi State, where the governor, Ahmed Usman Ododo, has directed security agencies to ensure the swift rescue of the abducted district head of Bagaji, Ado, and that's David Wada, and to bring his abductors to justice. The monarch was kidnapped Monday evening while returning from a traditional council meeting in Abe Jokolo. According to the police, Wada was ambushed at Ojuwo Ogwechi and taken into the bush at gunpoint. In a statement by Information Commissioner Kingsley Fangwo, the state government said efforts are underway to secure the ruler's release unharmed. Security forces have been tasked with monitoring flashpoints, while residents are urged to provide credible intelligence. And now to electoral matters. After experiencing technical glitch, eligible voters in Kano State have fully resumed registration and collection of permanent voter cards at the various voter registration centers in the state. News Central earlier reported that the exercise was halted due to a technical glitch, but resumed days later, with Kano State taking the second position after Akwa Ibom among the states with the highest number of registered voters. To help us get details of this development, my colleague Emmanuel Bagudu joins us from the Kano State capital. That's Kano. Emmanuel, many thanks for joining us. I mean, this is a huge relief, it must be, for the people of Kano. But tell us, what's the exercise so far? Has it been smooth?
Yes. A huge relief, of course, from the people of Kano. I'm here at Tarauni local government area, continuous voter registration center, and I have a lot of young people who are very excited. First time, of course, prospective first-time voters. They just secured the first stage of registration. Daga dai, ya kake ji ne? Za ka mana magana kwanakin baya an samu matsala na registration, kuma gashi nan yanzu dai ka samu kai, ya kake ji?
Gaskiya yanzu ina jin daɗi sosai, saboda zan fito da kwakwatan mu zo mu zaɓi wanda muke so. Dan mu nuna wa 'yan Najeriya kowa yana da 'yanci inda yana da wannan abu.
Haka ko?
Na.
Kai kuma fa?
Za mu fito.
Nuna mana magani.
Saboda wannan abu shine ƙuri'an mu, kuma za mu fito mu zaɓi wanda ranmu yake so, wanda zai mana adalci a ƙasar nan, wanda zai kawo mana ci gaba a ƙasar nan, da wanda zai tallafe mu, ba wanda ba zai ba mu ci gaba ba, Allah ya kawo mana da shi.
So what the young men are trying to say is that they are very excited after that technical glitch. They are back and they are now registered. And in the days to come, they are coming to get their permanent voters card, and that they are calling on everyone to come. They should not be discouraged that voting, registration of voters have started in earnest, that there is no issue of technical glitch, that they should come and enjoy and exercise their civic duties to continue to bring progress to the state by registering. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
All right. Emmanuel, thank you so much. Emmanuel Bagudu there from the capital in Kano, as the registration for the continuous voter registration is commenced there and is going smoothly. The switch gets back to insecurity. There's a push for state police in the news. Again, this time, President Bola Tinubu is the one in the forefront. The president says it's time to take decisive steps towards establishing state police across Nigeria. Now, speaking at the State House during a meeting with Northeast governors, the president stressed the need for community-based security that fits each region's unique challenges. He praised the Civilian JTF's local efforts and said it's time to eliminate political barriers to real policing reform. Tinubu also assured that the new structure would be non-partisan and purely focused on public safety. A security expert, Salahuddin Hashim, joins us now to interrogate the renewed push for state police. Salahuddin, thanks so much for joining us and welcome. So let's start with the big picture, shall we? What's your take on the president's renewed push for state policing?
All right, I think it is very fundamental to say that state police is actually a framework that offers citizens an opportunity to have a perception of being guaranteed absolute protection. And then, of course, I hope again that the president is very clear about what he will communicate in that particular meeting. There is state police and there is state policing. And his reference to the CJTF as a yardstick is actually a state policing component, which is actually in a disaggregation of efforts for the entire local security stakeholders. But again, if he's talking about state police, I think there are two frameworks that must define the state police apparatus. One is that it actually must be owned locally, and two is that there must be some element of guaranteeing political neutrality. And this is actually one of the biggest fear that we have about the inability of state police infrastructure to be independent of political interference, considering the kind of political architecture that we have had in this country, the level of interference and involvement. And of course, we have seen governors who have sworn that banditry and local security resolution would happen in 2 months if they have access to command and control. And I think, again, it is very important for us to be very circumspect before we take that entire decision. Yes, state police is actually not something we can wish away, but we must actually grow the system and the institution to maturity to be able to allow the state police infrastructure to function without any political interference. That, for me, would be the way to go. But overall, it's actually a modern and more contemporary policing system that has actually shown to be very efficient and effective in different parts of the world.
And the question is, how realistic is this, right? And so let's look at it from all sides. Whether across the pond to walking climes or countries that work, local policing somewhat is still partisan, and to say that it can be divorced from politics is almost utopian. And given how our region and our country is, can we have local policing in a way where it's not partisanship and it can be, the system can be free from political influence? Can it work?
And now that is actually that is where the challenge really lies. If we cannot actually make that distinction to separate it with a very clear surgical process that allows the security functionality to operate with its own clear standard operating procedure, opportunities are there that we are going to create a new problem. The new problem where states, and considering the kinds and the personalities of governors that we have currently, and the weak accountability infrastructure at subnational level, and the level of power that is actually dominant. A number of people put searchlight on the federal government, but you need to see how governors act as emperors. And if you give an emperor the power to command a troop, tendencies are there that he uses it to be able to witch hunt political or perceived political enemy. So this is actually the biggest concern that has continued to confront the entire ideal, not because it is not a good idea, but because we have currently an elite capture of the society, and the kind of elite that capture the society are those who are actually not very shy to use and deploy power when the need arises. And that is the reason why the president, yes, must have a good intention by trying to provide a safer climb. But again, we need to put into context the governors at the state level and know how to be able to deploy this in such a way that they don't use it to be able to attack citizens. But in directly answering your question, it is a possibility, but whether it is a possibility in our context is something that we also need to interrogate a lot further.
And as we interrogate that, let's also talk about transparency and accountability, but most importantly, abuse of power. We saw this was what gave rise to the NSAS protests, and we also seen this at the local government level when it comes to Akune Chamber and the recent situation that happened in the news that we saw in Anambra State. And so I do have to ask about, how structure, the kind of structures that can safeguard these policing systems, if they are to be implemented, that can hold them accountable, transparent, and also be void of biases and abuse of power.
And now you have referenced something that is very fundamental. In security parlance, recruitment and vetting are very key, and they're very relevant to the conduct of your personnel. It doesn't matter the code of ethics that you have put in place to control abuse of and the use of power. But again, if you recruit the wrong persons, tendencies are there that we are going to have a consistent or a deja vu of the current circumstances that we are currently confronted with. You have referenced the very unfortunate incidents that is happening in Anambra, and this is not peculiar only to Anambra. If you go to various states, we have seen how the proliferation of voluntary security organizations have continued to abuse power, and they come in this very commando style to be able to also try to create this level of emphasis that they also have local authority to be able to function. This in itself is actually a big threat, although it is actually a poor perception of how security should function because of our inability to be able to put in place a very robust, non-kinetic response plan, or to be able to institutionalize the technology-driven approach to security, and then we have proliferation of all of these small groups. So the fundamental element in all of this is that we must take care of recruitment. And this is where governors also have big challenge, because governors are likely going to use this particular process to also recruit political thugs into the state security architecture because of complete loyalty. And this in itself continues to create some element of using the body language of the governor to be able to respond to policies. Security-related issues are not driven by emotions, are not driven by the body language of the commander. It is actually driven based on needs. But again, that might not be the case because weak accountability would set in. And if you look at the political interference in security, there are also additional indicators that also comes with it. And that also requires that we need a framework that is very clear. And what is the oversight functions that also comes in? And that for me is also another element. Currently, at every state, you have the state houses of assembly, you have the state judicial function, and you realize that most of these institutions are at the control of the governor. I have seen a scenario where a governor presented a budget to the state house of assembly and then walked over to the side where the speaker sat and use a gavel to pass the budget.
Right.
That is actually executive rascality.
Right.
These are the kinds of things that we have seen.
Right.
Imagine that we give a governor...
Mr. Salahuddin, I wish we can continue the discussion, but I'm sorry to butt in there or to interrupt you, but I wish we can continue the discussion. But clearly, security takes time to go in depth and analyze it. But I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us. Mr. Salahuddin Hashim is a security expert as the presidency is now pushing for local state policing. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, El Rufai's coalition drags Nigerian police to court. We have the details of this and plenty more after the break. Stay with us. You're welcome back. You're watching the 12 Report. Now, as corruption continues to pose as one of Nigeria's greatest challenges, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, also known as ICPC, is taking a bold step towards forming an alliance with state governments through strategic communication. This, the ICPC says, is timely owing to the fact that the real battle against corruption lies at the grassroots level, notably at states and local government levels. The ICPC met with commissioners of information from states so as to bring the campaign against graft closer to the people. integrating them as key players against this menace. News Central's Aishat Saliu brings us the details. We will bring you that report in our subsequent bulletins. In the meantime, widows of fallen military heroes are raising concerns over alleged neglect by Nigeria's federal government and military authorities. The women who marched to the defense headquarters in Abuja are demanding the immediate payment of their entitlements. Our correspondent Joshua Marayi has the details. We unfortunately can't bring you that report, but we will bring in our subsequent bulletins. In the meantime, this time to economy. The removal of fuel subsidies in Nigeria, a policy implemented under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, has triggered significant economic hardship for millions of Nigerians. This move led to steep increases in transport costs, food inflation, and a foreign exchange crisis, deepening the overall cost of living burden. Now, despite increased federal allocations to states, the benefits remain largely unseen at the grassroots level, with poverty and insecurity escalating. However, Tinubu announced that Nigeria met its 2025 revenue target in August, attributing this success to gains in the non-oil sector, and reduced reliance on borrowing. The government emphasizes continuing reforms focused on infrastructure, healthcare, food sovereignty, and security amid ongoing public hardship from subsidy removal. For some 8 months now, some sections of the Ikotekpene Road in Umuahia have remained in bad state. The contractors handling the road fixed some sections and left out the very bad spots and have since left the site. This has led to commuters' frustration. While on this road, there's no reason given from the Federal Ministry of Works for the suspension of work. Our correspondent Chinwe Ugeli is at the site and she brings us real-time reports on the situation on the road. Chinwe, thanks so much for joining us. It's been 8 months since work stopped at this site and all the worst and bad spots have been left untouched. Tell me, what's the latest?
Thank you very much, Judith. There's no latest other than the people are left to wallow and this suffering and untold hardship on the road because of the buildup of traffic in the morning and evening hours. This very road leads to Akwa Ibom, to Calabar, but then it's in a very bad shape. Some sections of the road are actually dilapidated, I beg your pardon. Sometimes last year, the federal government began work again on this road, reconstruction of the road, but then they left the very bad spot and did the places, the areas that could be managed. And right now, the people are, worse off for it.
And with no official words from the Ministry of Works, what are commuters and residents saying about the road? Because I'm looking right behind you there. There's a trailer passing, and you can see how slow it is. And there are shops just behind you. What are they saying? And how is their life like?
Well, they told me it's been hellish for them. The commuters spend more hours on those sections of the road. Where I am right now is at Ihe Dume section. There's also another one towards the industrial market and another one towards the Ikuano. And the people are not finding it easy. I have someone here with me, someone who has a shop around the place. Please tell us your name. Look at the camera. Okay, sir. Want to know, how do you feel? How does this road affect you?
So far, a lot in this road. One lot of boy, no one will pass this place again. We are going to be suffering with it to third up. Even it's going to last 1 hour, 2 hours. We can't pass again. We are begging federal government to come and help us to work this road for us.
Thank you very much. So that is exactly how the people who use this road and who have shops on this feel about the road. They want the government to come in and fix the road once and for all. Judith.
Chinwe, thank you. Appreciate you for that update. Chinwe Ugeli, there, correspondent live from the capital, from Ikotekpene Road. That's a link road between Cross River, Calabar, and Abia Umuahia. Thanks again for that. We'll switch gears now, and this time to the banking sector. As sanity may soon be felt in the digital banking space, as the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, that's the FCCPC, heeds to the cry of many Nigerians over the blatant disregard for banking ethics by some digital lending platforms. FCCPC says it is stepping in to clean up Nigeria's digital lending space. They are now giving all digital lenders just 3 months to register or risk paying up to 100 million naira in fines or even getting shut down. These new rules, called the Dion Consumer Lending Regulation 2025, officially kicked in on July 21st. They are targeting mobile money operators, digital lenders and their service partners after a wave of complaints from Nigerians over harassment and shady practices. The FCCPC says it's time to protect consumers and bring real accountability to the online lending world. It's September 4th, right? And that means it's World Sexual Health Day. It is observed on September 4th every year, emphasizing the vital role of sexual justice, rights, and pleasure in overall well-being. This year's theme, Sexual Justice, What Can We Do?, calls for global action to ensure everyone can enjoy dignity, freedom, and access to accurate sexual health information and care. It highlights the importance of inclusion, empowerment, and protecting the rights of all individuals, especially marginalized groups. The day promotes open dialogue, education, and human rights, aiming to make sexual health a fundamental part of global health and social justice efforts. Still on health, they say health is wealth. Hence, the need for everyone to take seriously matters affecting their health first before any other thing. Now, while the government and well-meaning individuals, as well as corporate bodies, provide hospitals of all categories to the masses, there's also need to ensure that the people are able to use the facilities. News Central's Chiwe Ogeli in this report looks at the impact of free health interventions by private citizens and government. Take a look.
In urban and rural areas, groups and individuals hold free health interventions where certain ailments are treated or patients are given professional advice. Most interventions are done annually as a way of serving the health needs of the poor population in the state. With various health issues, children, women, men in their numbers besiege such centers to access care.
I think since this one is free, let me take this medicine and help myself. You know, a lot of people that have challenge, they will not come up boldly and say that they're having this or that because they are afraid of going to hospital.
In rural communities like Umunochi, the indigenes always brace up for such intervention, which they say has helped them so much.
I'm here because of I don't have money, because I carry my son to the hospital. They do lab service and this. They request 200,000. I don't have that money.
Stakeholders also say it is important to assist the people manage their health to reduce fatalities.
There are a lot of people who are not able to take care of themselves because of maybe funds, or they are less privileged. So this is a privilege and opportunity for them to access health. And so I do not believe that we should be looking at time.
Dr. Joseph Ezekiel of the Federal Hospital Abuja underscores the importance of such intervention.
The benefit of what the people has gained from such events is unquantifiable truly. Because I've been in this for more than 20 years, you know, I know the effects it has on people, and the effect is internal.
Obviously, the high cost of Medicare has contributed to the dependency on free health nations. This can surely be dangerous for those with life-threatening ailments, for timely intervention may be the difference between life and death. In Omahia, for News Central, Chiwe Ogeli.
Let's bring you business news, shall we? The Trump administration has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to urgently review a lower court ruling that struck down most of the tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. These actions, or these tariffs, are central to Trump's economic agenda and trade strategy. The Justice Department argued that the law gives the president authority to regulate imports during national emergencies. However, the Federal Circuit Court ruled that Trump overstepped his authority, saying tariffs require clear congressional approval. Small businesses and 12 Democrat-led states have challenged the tariffs, claiming that they are unconstitutional. The administration wants the Supreme Court to hear the case quickly, warning that the decision threatens U.S. diplomacy, economic security, and Trump's broader economic policy efforts. Oil prices fell again on Thursday, extending a 2% drop from the previous session, as investors awaited the upcoming OPEC Plus meeting this weekend. Brent crude dropped 43 cents to $67.15 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate fell 44 cents to $63.53. OPEC Plus is expected to discuss increasing output targets for October, signaling a shift toward regaining market share over supporting prices. The group had already agreed to rise production by 2.5 million barrels per day through September. Strong Middle Eastern oil prices have encouraged further increases. Additionally, weak U.S. job data raised hopes for a Federal Reserve rate cut. U.S. crude stockpiles rose by 622,000 barrels, further pressuring prices ahead of official inventory data. And back home in Nigeria here, where the federal government announced that the Nigerian Customs Service, NCS, generated 3.7 trillion naira in revenue during the first half of 2025, surpassing budget targets by 12.5% and exceeding 2024 figures by just 25%. The Finance Minister, Wale Edu, revealed this at the 62nd NCS board meeting in Abuja, praising the performance while stressing the need for deeper reforms. Central to these reforms is the National Single Window Initiative, a digital trade platform set for full rollout in 2026. The platform aims to streamline trade, cut costs, and improve Nigeria's investment appeal. Edu emphasized the administration's commitment to modernizing trade systems, aligning with broader economic goals, and the NCS board also confirmed senior appointments to enhance governance and institutional strength. And off to Mozambique, as the country is forming a special purpose vehicle to enable several state-owned companies to acquire a 91% stake in the struggling national airline, which is LAM. Now, according to a cabinet's statement, the vehicle will be jointly owned by Hidroelétrica de Caroha Bassa, that's the Camino de Faros de Mozambique, as well as Empresa Mozambicana de Sacrosos. Now, the $130 million investment will fund the purchase of 8 aircraft and support LAM's restructuring. Appointed in May, the former Air Serbia CEO Dan Kardik is leading the turnaround. Now, despite previous efforts, including a terminated contract with Fly Modern Arc, LAM continues to face financial difficulties. A recent 2026 fiscal risk report labeled LAM a high-risk entity requiring urgent state intervention due to its unsustainable operations and mounting debts. Cape Flats in Cape Town, South Africa, is experiencing a surge in deadly gang violence, causing distress among residents who demand urgent government action. Special police units tasked with managing the crisis face overwhelming workloads and resource shortages as well, hampering their ability to effectively investigate and prosecute cases. Families of victims accuse police corruption and inadequate responses for the escalating violence. Local officials highlight how detectives are overloaded, resulting in many cases falling flat without solid evidence. The violence deeply affects communities with gang-related crime widely spread, and calls are growing for increased resources and improved policing strategies to address this persistent security challenge.
And he that's laying there, he looked after his children, his two children. His mother's children also died. They killed her because she wasn't a gangster. But the police do nothing here. They just leave everything alone. And they're disrespecting the people. It's not right what they're doing. They don't even, yeah, you can was a gangster. You don't talk to me like that. And a lot of other words they said. Me just plain police. They must just corrupt police station. I'm not talking as anybody, I'm talking as a mother. I don't feel it's not right what's going on here. When
I see a young boy laying dead, he's been shot, I cry. Because we've been through this, you know, we've lost 7 family members to murder, and it's all gun violence, you know, and it affected us badly because it was in the space of 3 years that you lose 7 family members every 3rd or 4th month. My fight is not against the gangsters. My fight is against the fact that I need to change these children's lives so that they don't get trapped into the violence, you know, they don't get hurt and killed, because it's most of our boys are killed under the age of 25 years old, and it is daily.
Africa, at least 15 people were killed and 18 injured when Lisbon's historic Gloria funicular derailed and crashed into a building. The popular tourist railway reportedly lost control after a cable came loose. Authorities are investigating the cause and working with the operating company to identify victims. The 150-year-old funicular is a cherished symbol of the capital, and the tragedy has shocked Portugal. A national day of mourning has been declared, and local police have condoned off the area while emergency services remain at the scene.
Uma situação trágica, não é? Porque isto acaba por ser uma situação trágica e pronto, acho que não há mesmo muito mais a dizer, a não ser se calhar aqui uma falta de manutenção aqui nestes cabos, não é? Porque é uma forma turística, é uma forma das pessoas passearem, das pessoas verem a nossa Lisboa e, no entanto, aconteceu um acidente tão trágico, não é? É mau para a nossa imagem.
Às tantas ter mais inspeções, penso eu, não é? Isto está sempre a falar na segurança e cada vez as coisas acontecem mais. Estou numa obra, temos formação todos os dias sobre a segurança e é sobre, pronto, tem que ter mais inspeções para ver se há alguma coisa de errado, a ver se isso deixa de acontecer, ¿no?
Estamos alojados en un apartamento aquí mismo al lado y entonces sentimos mucha sirena, la policía, y ya nos asomamos al balcón y vimos muchos despliegues y ya pues dijimos algo ha pasado. Y entonces pues ya hemos bajado y nos hemos encontrado con todo esto. Pues precisamente hoy estábamos hablando de subir. Y lo que pasa que había un cola y por una cosa y otra pues no hemos subido, pero en estos días pensábamos subir. Y ya te digo, sería este mismo porque es el que nos pilla aquí al lado. O sea que estamos un poco aliviados en ese sentido.
Meanwhile, the country is to hold a day of national mourning today after a funicular train derailed in the capital, Lisbon, killing at least 15 people in one of the capital's most popular tourist spots. The accident on Wednesday saw the yellow Gloria funicular veer off a steep stretch of tracks near Liberty Avenue and crash into a building. Rescuers said a further 18 people were injured. The victims, including some foreigners, have all been recovered from the wreckage, according to the emergency services. Our senior international correspondent Afia Hagen has more on this. Afia, this is a tragedy. What's the latest on the accident in Lisbon?
Yes, this is a tragedy on Lisbon's probably best known tourist landmark, something that I've actually been on myself. 17 people have now been confirmed that have died in that incident. 23 people have been injured, including a 3-year-old German boy. They have named one of the victims in the accident. That's Andre Marcus. He was one of the brake operators on the funicular, which is kind of like a cable car that goes up and down this very steep hill that connects 2 tourist districts in Lisbon. Very, very tragic. And eyewitnesses talking about the funicular, the carriage careering down the hill, round the corner and out of control before it crashed into the side of that building.
I mean, what could have caused this crash to have happened?
Well, it could be something like a snapped cable or worn cable or some sort of driver error, but it's thought to be perhaps it was a cabling issue. This is a carriage that has been in operation for over 100 years. It first started operating in 1885 using water and weight to go up and down that hill before switching to electricity in 1915. It goes every 12 minutes, carries 40 people. So very, very popular carriage, funicular amongst tourists, but amongst local residents as well that use it to connect those two neighbourhoods. So it's thought to be perhaps a cable came loose and a cable snapped, and that caused the carriage to career out of control down that hill.
Afia, thank you so much for the update. We appreciate you for coming on. Afia Hagen, our international correspondent, joining us live from London. And still on the news here, National Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, has dismissed Russia's suggestion that Western nations should not deploy troops to Ukraine, saying Moscow has no authority to decide how the alliance supports Kyiv. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has emphasized that decisions on troop deployments rest solely with member states, not the Kremlin. The statement follows growing speculation about limited Western deployments in non-combat roles. Also, NATO chief Mark Rutte said that Russia does not have a veto on whether Western powers can deploy troops to Ukraine as part of security guarantees if a truce is reached. Russia has called such move a direct provocation, but NATO insists its support for Ukraine will continue as needed to counter ongoing aggression.
Why are we interested in what Russia thinks about troops in Ukraine? It's a sovereign country. It's not for them to decide. I'm really amazed. I'm not criticizing you, but I hear this question, of course, more often. So thank you for asking the question. But I'm really amazed. Russia has nothing to do with this.
It was once the familiar sound of pen on paper, the scratching, the scratch, the scribbling, and the ticking of the clock. But soon the West African Examinations Council is saying goodbye to that era and hello to keyboards, screens, and clicks. By 2026, every West African senior school certificate examination, also known as WASC, will be written through computer-based testing. There's no more paper, there's no more scripts, no more booklets, no more shuffling, just candidates and computers and the clock. So WAEC says the move is part of modernization to align with global best practices and to cut down on malpractice. Already, pilot runs of the computer-based exams have been conducted, and officials insist that students will have time to adjust before the full switch. But questions remain. One is, will Nigeria secondary schools be ready? Another is, do they have enough computer labs, power supply, and internet backbone to host tens of thousands of students at once? Very pertinent questions, if you ask me. Well, critics have warned that without massive investment in infrastructure, the plan could deepen inequality. Urban schools may adapt easily, while rural students risk being left behind. Advocates, however, argue that it's the lift Nigerians' education system needs, forcing schools to modernize, pushing students to digital literacy, and reducing the risk of leaked papers or doctored results. The classroom of tomorrow is already here. But the real test may not just be for students, actually. It's for the system itself. Can WAEC deliver a smooth transition, or will the bold idea crash at login? Because in the exam of progress, failure is not an option. And that is your proscript for today.